You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, this Saturday, April 30th show. I provide you the news on everything money, fresh information on market trends and conditions in our local economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but I am always here and can connect you with my guest as well. Call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio right now and for the entire show today, it's my privilege to announce that I have Patti Hill. She's with Windermere Real Estate Northwest, and she's the acting president for Seattle King County Realtors. I want to read SCAR's mission. Seattle King County Realtors creates a thriving and ethical business environment for members through education, advocacy, and tools that support member success. We protect and promote the right to own, transfer, and use real estate property. So Patti, I just thank you so much. I know that you're really busy in your real estate practice and everything you do, giving back to the real estate community and to our consumers and home ownership. So I just thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me, Tina. I really appreciate the honor.
Of course. A little background about Patti. She's managing broker. Patti has been chosen by Seattle Magazine a 5-star Best in Client Satisfaction Real Estate Agent for 2005 through 2015 and has her designation for Senior Real Estate Specialist working with boomers and beyond, ePro designation for National Association of Realtors, and awarded Realtor of the Year of 2014, Seattle King County Realtors, and the honor for Seattle King County Realtors. And I was privileged to be there to listen to your speech and that you gave. So just a real honor to have been there to see you accept that role. Patti is also a member of the National Association of Realtors, member of the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, members of the Washington Association of Realtors, and member of the Windermere Foundation, dedicated to helping homeless and low-income families. She is also, as I said, the 2016 president for Seattle King County Realtors, and the reason I wanted to have her in studio for the show today. So, Patti, let's go ahead and start out with your role as president for Seattle King County Realtors.
Well, thank you, Tina. My chief role probably is to lead the board of directors. We have vision in promoting the strong business ethics and public policy that make for a healthy and fluid real estate market, and enabling realtors to help people make the American dream of homeownership come true.
Yeah, and it's so important to have realtors on the side and really stepping in and letting legislation know what we need to make it affordable and easier for people to own a home. So, Patti, why do realtors care about public policy?
Well, realtors take very seriously the ideal that everyone should have the opportunity to achieve home ownership. Public policy sets the direction for quality of life, good schools, good jobs, and a home where those jobs go at night. For example, homeowners need access to a mortgage they can afford, so we work to protect the home mortgage interest deduction. We make sure that FHA financing program is not hostile to buyers who want a condo, and we keep down payment requirements reasonable for the first-time home buyer. There was a bill before Congress, Qualified Residential Mortgage, or QRM, which wanted to make first-time homebuyers have a 20 to 30% down payment in order to purchase a home. My kids couldn't do that.
Yeah, a lot of my clients could. It would be devastating if that happened.
Right, exactly. We also want to make sure that the government doesn't confiscate a family's equity in a home when they sell. We oppose the double REIT, the real estate excise tax, REET.
Okay.
The legislature in Washington State a few years ago passed a bill which allowed a homeowner who had not done probate, if one or the other of the couple had passed away.
Okay.
If they had not done probate on that property, then they get taxed when they try to sell the property 2 times, one time for the probate.
Wow.
And one time when the house sells. So I just actually had this happen about a month ago in Snohomish County, a house that I sold, and it was going to be an extra $8,500 for my seller. So we halted everything and worked within the system. But the legislature just this year passed a law to remove that option.
Okay.
So counties can't do that anymore.
Yep.
And then also protect the $500,000 capital gains.
And, I think it's from the consumer side in understanding really what you guys are doing and fighting for these, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on the back end. Unless you're in there or you get it behind the scenes like we're able to today, you really have no idea how much fighting is really happening behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Patti, we all know that the real estate market is a very tight in supply because there's just not enough properties for sale. So how do you see it playing out, and where do you see that our market is headed?
Well, the crystal ball is a little foggy sometimes.
Yes, it is.
But the average household in King County can afford a home or condo that costs about $311,000.
Okay.
But here in King County, the median sales price for homes and condos is $450,000, which is a gap of $138,000. And that gap won't close until there's a better balance between the supply of homes and condos on the market and the number of buyers who are out looking for something they can afford. So the real estate industry experts say that 4 to 6 months of inventory is considered a balanced market. For the past year, King County has had little more than 1 month's supply.
Crazy.
In fact, at the end of the year, the county-wide inventory had dropped so low, there was less than 1 month's supply available. Not surprisingly, countywide prices shot up 12.5% last year. And in Seattle, there was only 16 days of supply at year end, and prices versus a year ago were up 19.7%.
Wow.
Our housing prices are reaching new heights, and more middle-income families are locked out of homeownership in King County. It's a tough market.
And so again, if there's 16 days of inventory, it literally means that if no new people put their home on the market, you've got 16 days worth of inventory left.
Right.
Yeah. It's just a crazy. Patti, what about a recent a story that you can share?
Well, I have a couple. We had a listing in really nice neighborhood in South Seattle. We had 13 offers on that listing. All of them actually, none were cash. None were all cash. All of them had mortgages attached. So financing was a part of their offer, which actually I appreciated. But it went for 25% over asking. Now, I was really concerned about the appraisal, which was interesting that you brought that up at the beginning of the show. I actually made a spreadsheet for the appraiser and went and met him and showed him all of the offers that we had received.
Awesome.
And all of the contingencies that were attached to those offers. And so he was able to appraise the house so that we were able to continue through with the mortgage. I don't know. He said, "I'm really glad you brought me all this information because I have no way of knowing what else you have." So
yes,
that was very good, and we were able to close, and everybody was happy. But boy, 25% over asking.
It's crazy. And I had a South End expert, and I think it was last week that I brought him in, and they're even starting to see that going in their end as well.
Right.
It just as crazy as what we're seeing here. So
it is.
Yeah. What about we see all the cranes and the new housing projects everywhere. People are always asking, isn't that going to solve the problem?
Well, it'll help.
A little.
Yes.
Right?
But it won't solve the problem unless supply is actually balanced with demand. So the biggest reason the supply of housing is failing to keep up with the demand for housing is job growth. And job growth is a great thing. For many years, except for, of course, the national recession, King County has been adding jobs, a lot of jobs, faster than we're adding housing for those workers. In just 11 months during 2015, there were 23,600 building permits issued in the Tri-County region, which is King, Pierce, and Snohomish County.
Okay.
So And then 98,700 people from out of state got new driver's licenses.
Wow.
So we're adding new workers 4 times as fast as we're adding new housing. And that doesn't include people entering the workforce who are already here, have graduated from college or technical school, and are looking for a job and they want to stay.
So, Patti, what about these high prices being great for realtors? Because you hear people say, well, isn't that great for the real estate industry, that for these high prices?
Well, really, no.
Yes. Can you explain to my listeners why?
Yeah. Well, for one example, the listing that we had, when we had 13 offers, there were 12 realtors that worked really hard and 12 buyers whose all their hearts were broken.
Yeah.
We don't get paid until we hand the keys to the new home to the new buyer. And there aren't that many houses to sell, so it's bad news all the way around. We struggle to get folks into a house, and there isn't enough for sale. Yesterday, I had a buyer who was looking for a duplex. He wants to live on one side and rent the other side. So we made an offer on a duplex in White Center, which there were 9 offers on
in
this
White
duplex.
Center.
We were 18% over asking, and that wasn't enough. We didn't get it.
Wow.
So onward and upward, but we just keep looking.
Yeah, and I was having a conversation with a realtor a while ago that said, it's frustrating because my family is always saying, our outside family of, wow, you must be making tons of money. And she says, it's frustrating because she said, I'm actually struggling. I'm struggling because I have to manage all of this work with my buyers and none of the deals are coming together because, of getting bid out. And I want to step over here really quickly, Patti, on the cash buyers, because I know a lot of people are getting bought out or beat out by these cash buyers. Isn't there something that can be done in legislation that can actually limit the amount of cash buyers or the limit, maybe they pay more taxes or they do something coming in paying so that because really it's not good. And I don't want to say anything negative about the cash buyers that are coming in. I mean, that's awesome to do that. I don't think it financially makes sense to pay cash because the cost of borrowing money is so low. Right. That's a whole nother show. Right. But it is hurting our economy. It's hurting our economy when people can't get in and buy homes and you've got these cash buyers that are coming in and they're not coming in to be owner-occupying these houses a lot of times.
Yes,
how would you?
I know who you're talking about. There are those. They had a problem in Vancouver, British Columbia, with a lot of people coming in from out of the country and purchasing properties in mass with cash and then walking away from them, leaving them vacant, hoping, I think they're maybe looking at something forward in case they need to move out of their country. They'll have a place. We've seen some of that here. Vancouver actually passed laws to kind of shut that down. Yes. So I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see.
Right.
Well, Patti, before I get into the next, or I'm going to leave the next question for after break, and we are coming up next, I'm going to stick right here with Patti for the entire show, and we're talking about real estate, what's happening on our market. Patti's with Windermere Real Estate Northwest. She's also the president of Seattle King County Realtors. Just a wealth of information right here at 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, April 30th show, bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events and our local economy and how it can affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast to talk to my guests that I have in studio today, or anything that you'd like to chat with your host, myself, about, please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. 1-855-400-1150. And here with Patti Hill with Windermere Real Estate Northwest and acting president for the Seattle King County Realtors. And we're talking about real estate and what's happening in the market, and some things that happen on the back end as well as from an insider's view from what's happening in the housing market. Now, Patti, right before we went to break, we talked about how the higher prices in real estate aren't really necessarily benefiting the realtors because of all the work they're doing and not able to get offers accepted because there's not enough inventory and there's so much competition. Now, as a listener, somebody that's looking at selling their property may be surprised that these high prices may not always be benefiting the seller either. Why is that?
Well, most sellers stay here in our region and are looking to buy something else, either move up or down depending on their age and situation. When they do, they experience the challenges of high prices and low inventory. So that's one reason many people are staying put where they are instead of moving up.
Yes. And back when it was a different market, because we were always in either a buyer's market, a seller's market. We've got plenty of money or we're short money. I mean, there's always a balance in what's happening in the market. We just happen to be in a seller's market, lack of inventory, but it wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was a little while ago, a few years, when we were at the exact opposite, when we had so much inventory and we didn't have enough buyers. But really, that's a benefit for somebody that's selling if they're moving up. And it was a great aha moment for people that if you're looking at your dream home, now's the time to do it. Doesn't matter that you're going to get a low price on the house that you're selling, which they were because it was a buyer's market. But if you're buying and selling at the same time and you're moving up, you're going to get a great deal on one or the other. You're going to get a great deal when you sell, or you're going to get a great deal when you buy. So which would you prefer to have? If you're moving up, you want to get that great deal when you're buying.
Sure.
So right now, the sellers are not having that benefit because they're selling that lower price home, not able to find the inventory. If they can, they're paying that higher price for it. So it's interesting when you kind of pull that together.
Right.
So Patti, there's been a lot of press and government activity on affordable housing. Are cities like Seattle headed in the right direction when it comes to affordable housing?
Well, there are a lot of positive steps, but we still need to be honest about the importance of balancing housing supply and demand. When the middle-income families can't afford a mid-priced home or condo, they move down, meaning they're forced to rent instead of buy, unless they're willing to drive to qualify and put up with a very long commute, often from other counties. When would-be buyers must rent, the larger incomes they bring into the rental market displaces working families with even less income. And this displacement process continues down the spectrum of housing opportunities until more and more of the most economically vulnerable families in our communities find themselves homeless.
Yeah.
A lot of attention in Seattle has been focused on the emergency homelessness problem, and for good reason. Some level of subsidy for the most economically vulnerable families has always been a part of the solution. But to really make a difference, we also need to move upstream and to fix the supply and demand situation that is causing the housing crisis and exacerbating the homeless emergency. As a realtor, I want to make an important difference for individual families, and as the Association of Realtors, we want to make an important difference for the whole community.
Thank you, Patti. That's really, again, why you're here and why I was excited about the show and just everything that, again, is happening on the back end to really help and support homeownership. So, Patti, I have to ask a question. Who has the answers that will really make the difference that we need?
Tina, that's a great way to ask that question.
Thank you.
Because real families need real solutions. We need to be committed to making a real difference, not just making a statement, and not just making a gesture that makes us feel better, while thousands of working families continue to struggle to obtain one's life necessities, a roof over their head. Making a real difference with a real solution is not rocket science. We know what we must do, but we need to be smart about how we do it. We need to increase density where it makes sense to do so, near transit stations, in urban villages, and in key multifamily zones.
Yeah, and I've had a representative from Sound Transit in a few times, and there's some exciting things that are coming up. The unfortunate thing is they're coming up in 2033,
right,
which is not helping us where we're at right now.
Correct.
So, Patti, how do we get smart about how to do this?
Well, first, we cannot be afraid of change and afraid of growth.
Yep.
With change comes opportunities. That's what made our region so strong. In the 100-plus years following the gold rush, which my grandfather was a part of, companies like Weyerhaeuser, Boeing, Microsoft, and Amazon have grown our region. People who were already here had new job opportunities, and others came. Growth is not our enemy, it's our friend. Second, we need to do more of what works. There are great examples of new, dense neighborhoods that are both exciting places to be and protect single-family neighborhoods like South Lake Union, downtown Bellevue, downtown Kirkland. Watch downtown Redmond and Overlake Village and Issaquah. Even smaller cities like Covington have figured out that density is the key to an exciting and economically vibrant future. We're seeing these places that are doing a smart job with density. They're exploding with new energy, restaurants, shops, and businesses that make you want to be there. The density doesn't degrade the neighborhood. It makes it more enticing.
Yes. So, Patti, what happens if our region doesn't take steps to solve the problem that we're having?
Well, it puts us at risk, really, in a few ways. It creates an hourglass community where only the wealthy and those who qualified for subsidized housing can live. The middle class has to move out.
Yep.
People who can't afford to purchase a home near their jobs and who don't want to rent will drive until they qualify and then suffer a very long commute, often from other counties, which creates sprawl. I sold a house in South Everett to a young couple, and they both work at the University of Washington.
Yeah.
And they drive every day.
Yeah.
It's just
crazy.
It's tough. They wanted to own a home, though.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and that's really kind of bad for the environment, and it's costly. More people commuting longer distances increases congestion, and that increases the region's carbon footprint. It makes transportation solutions even more expensive, and it's bad for the quality of life. You have less time with family and less time to serve your community. And they all the high prices hurt the economic competitiveness of the region. I always have a conversation with my buyers who have small children about how much time they want to spend with their kids versus their commute to work.
Yeah.
Some of them have found that commuting to work with their little kids, they have found a daycare close to work. But some, their daycare is close to home, and they're spending up to 2 hours in their car with, and that's time away from their family, which is really tough.
I know that there are, employers that are trying to embrace, with technology, being able to have, employees able to work from home. So hopefully we can see more of that.
Right.
How does this hurt our economic competitiveness?
Well, we've seen research from Fannie Mae and Gruen. When workers get tired of long commutes, or if they want to buy a place of their own they can only afford to rent, they move out of the area.
Yeah.
In fact, Fannie Mae's research said they will choose a lower-paying job in a community where they can buy a home closer to work instead of keeping their higher-paying job in a community where they are forced to rent. So families will move out rather than giving up on the American dream, especially when they add children to their families. The research also shows that when workers start moving out of the area because of high housing prices and soaring rents, employers follow them out of town in order to have a stable workforce.
So, Patti, as an experienced mortgage broker, as I am, I've look at numbers all the time and figure out how to make the numbers work in a way that will allow buyers to be successful. So when you talk about the housing supply crisis affecting the economic competitiveness of our region, I'm wondering what kind of numbers local employers would be looking at, and can you give my listeners some numbers that would help them understand what you mean when you say housing supply crisis could affect the economic competitiveness of our region?
Okay, sure. I'd be happy to. Remember, we said prices were up 12.5% countywide last year.
Yep.
Okay, so basic math dictates that if prices are only increasing 10% a year, those prices will double in 7 years.
Okay.
At 19.7% annual increases like we had in Seattle last year, prices would double a whole lot sooner than every 7 years. But let's stick with the price doubling for 7 years.
Okay.
Here in King County, with prices going up 10% annually in 7 years, if the national economy doesn't crash again, the current $450,000 countywide midpoint price for houses and condos combined will jump to $900,000.
Wow.
To afford that, a family will need to make $300,000 a year, and that's $150 an hour.
My gosh.
So if we don't get real serious real quick about making sure the supply of housing is balanced with market demand, here is the move out of town question employers like Boeing, Microsoft, and Amazon will be asking themselves. Can I compete in global markets against companies like Airbus, and Alibaba if the company has to pay $150 an hour plus medical and retirement benefits in order to keep the trained workforce that I need for the company to survive?
You know, I hear you say these numbers, Patti, and I want to laugh, but the reality of it is it's not a laughing matter. I mean, this is serious, and these are real numbers. And then you add in from a mortgage professional the possibility and the most likely that interest rates go up as well, makes things even more challenging, because I think, people forget how low and how inexpensive it is to borrow money right now. So you add that on top of it. It's just, these are crazy numbers.
They are crazy.
So, Patti, isn't the natural for people to oppose change and protect their neighborhoods?
Change is hard.
Yeah.
Ask my husband.
Ask my husband. I'm good with change. I'm like a brace change type of girl.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
But the alternative really is unacceptable. Change is going to happen. If you don't choose smart density that works well and that contributes to exciting, thriving, vibrant communities, then by default, whether you want it or not, you'll choose soaring prices, an hourglass community, sprawl and long commutes, a larger carbon footprint for the region, spending your time with your car instead of with your family. And you face the really real prospect of receiving a notice from your employer that says you and your family must move to Oklahoma City or Wichita if you want to keep your job.
It might be a little depressing spot to take us to commercial, but that's where we're going. Seattle King County Association of Realtors helps create stronger and healthier communities, and that's why I have Patti here for the entire show. I'm going to continue my conversation with her. She's with Windermere Real Estate Northwest, and she is the acting president for SCAR, Seattle King County Realtors. And we're going to have her again right here on the Money Hour, 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, April 30th show. It's a great day to talk money, and that's why I'm here with you. And that's what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, and build a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Any topic suggestions you would like me to bring into studio or guest, always looking for industry leaders in our local market to help all of my listeners, again, have a better quality of life. And I'm here back again with Patti from Windermere Real Estate Northwest, and she's the acting president for Seattle King County Realtors. And Patti, you've mentioned a lot about the environment several times, and people might not think of realtors when they're hearing someone talk about the environment, but what's obviously important to you, and tell a little bit more about that.
Okay, well, it's not just me.
Okay.
It's our whole association of realtors. We have around 6,000 realtors in King County who care deeply about the environment. Our environment makes this area, what we call home, so inviting. It's an important element in our quality of life, and it's something realtors cherish. It's really not enough to just say that you care about the environment at a wine and cheese event. That's why almost a decade ago, the Seattle King County Realtors established the nation's very first Realtors Environmental Council. We call it TREC. Every year, we volunteer to work on an environmental restoration project somewhere here in the county. We've cleared out invasive species, replaced them with riparian vegetation, and put thousands of new plants in the ground to restore critical areas. We're not afraid to get dirt under our fingernails and to help restore the environment. I love putting on my jeans and my boots and going out and digging. And the people that we work with are so appreciative of the work that we do with them. We've worked with the county, cities, and in places like Hylebos, the Mercer Slough, Kelsey Creek, Kavanaugh Ponds Natural Area, Pickering Farm, Seward Park, in Kirkland, at the Dunn Gardens in North Seattle, and on the Duwamish River. I live close to the Duwamish, so I loved it that we did our part helping pull up the invasive species next to the river and planting native stuff that needs to be there. It's important to all of us. That's why our realtors walk the talk.
And for all of the realtors that listen to the show on a regular basis that are part of the Realtors Environmental Council, thank you for your service and for caring about our environment and our community. While we're talking about this, Patti, I would really like you to share as well Windermere and what they do special with their foundation for our community here.
Yes, the Windermere Foundation over the last 20 years has raised almost $30 million.
Unbelievable.
It is, and that's all money coming directly from realtors. I personally give a portion of every commission to the foundation. Most of the Windermere Realtors do that. And so then the money is given back. 99.94% of the money goes directly back into our communities. We don't pay for administration.
Okay.
So my office is in Ballard, and Ballard gets a percentage of the money that's raised, and then we get to decide who it goes to. So we have 7 different charities in the Ballard area that we vote on, and then our money is proportionately split up between those. Boys and Girls Club, the Food Bank, the Senior Center, a couple of our local grade schools, Big Brothers and Sisters. Those are and they are very appreciative, and I think probably look forward to our investment with them every year. Also, at Christmas time, we or the holidays, we take a family or two that we are hooked up with through the Boys and Girls Club, and we make sure that they have a great holiday.
So that is awesome. So thank you, Windermere Foundation, for everything that you're doing, and Patti for having such an engagement and part of that. Patti, if I have a listener that's asking, as an individual, what can I do to be helping right now?
Well, like kids growing up and those of us who are their parents growing older, change is inevitable. So first, each of us needs to decide what kind of change we prefer. Access to the American dream for our kids and our grandkids, or a future where the American dream is out of reach in the Puget Sound? Do we want a healthy environment or a larger carbon footprint? Do we need reasonable commutes to work or more congestion from longer, slower commutes? Do we need access to good family wage jobs here, or a notice that your job is moving to Oklahoma or Kansas? We need a diverse community with a big middle class, or do we want an hourglass community consumed of the polemics of the very rich and the very poor? Second, when it's time to move, instead of picking a broker who only has a real estate license, choose a local realtor who aspires to a higher standard and voluntarily invests their time and their own money to work on public policies that will give the families in our communities better access to brighter opportunities and healthier communities. Third, think about where you want your kids to live. Then support reasonable, thoughtful voices and elected officials who are working to achieve real solutions for real families like yours. We believe in families in our communities are worth the effort. You can check us out at northwestrealtor.com, or that's NWREALTOR.com.
And I always say, it's really about making a difference in the world in the small way that you can. And all of the individuals that are making a small change, just one little tiny small change. That's one of my favorite books, The Compound Effect.
Yeah.
That will produce a compound effect and a change in our world. So, please do that. Patti, you are a key contact for state representative.
Yes.
And
Three of them.
So can you share with my listeners how that works?
Yes. So the Washington Association of Realtors has a group of us volunteers who sign up to become close with a legislator. We want them to understand our point of view when it comes to legislation that's going to hurt our clients or our members.
Yes.
And so I have 3 legislators that I'm key contact with. One is Bob Hasegawa, who's a senator from my district, Zach Hudgens, who's a legislator from my district, and Gail Tarleton, who's a legislator from the district where my office is located. And I get together with them 2 or 3 times during the year for coffee. We sit down and have a great discussion about what's going on. We also talk about our kids. We get to know each other.
Yes.
It's really, really nice. And then once a year in January, we go to Olympia and we sit in their office and talk to them about legislation that's coming up.
Yes.
Or stuff that they're going to be voting on, and kind of give them our opinion of that. It's a great way to have them understand where our clients are coming from and where we're coming from. We want people to be able to own homes, and
Yes.
we want them to be comfortable in their communities. And so we're pretty particular about how we want that to happen.
That's
for 'em.
awesome. And hearing it from the inside, because you guys are seeing what's happening. There's something coming up in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to be in D.C. next week, I guess.
Yeah.
We leave on Sunday the 8th, and we're there for the whole week.
Yeah.
I'll be speaking with Adam Smith and Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell, and we'll talk to them on a national level about things that are going on in their Congress, bills that are going to be coming up for them.
And I have to say, we talked about one person making a small change, and I have to say, Patti, just thank you so much for what you're doing, because you don't get paid for what you're doing, and you've got a real estate practice that you need to continue to have thrive, and so all of the time that it takes, all the hours to take in what you're doing to represent the Realtors and what's best for our community. I just want to say thank you so much for your service. It's really appreciated.
Thanks, Tina.
And for the Realtors that are listening to the show right now, what can a broker do? How can they get involved in legislative advocacy?
Well, there are several ways. A really good way is to contact the Seattle King County Realtors office and come to a governmental affairs meeting. And you can see kind of the things that we are concerned about, the things that we're talking about, and bring up your own concerns. It's a great place for us. We usually have about 35 people that show up for the meetings, and we have great discussions.
And how often are those meetings, Patti?
Those meetings are every other month. They run for about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Okay.
They're the first Tuesday of the month. They started in, I think the next one will be in June.
Okay.
Yeah. So
anything else that that brokers can be doing?
yes, we also have our Realtor PAC, which is money that we put in a big account, and we use that money to give to our Realtor champions who are running for office.
Got it.
This year, last year, 2015, but for this year, we are the #1 PAC in Washington State. And
Wow.
boy, that sure opens doors for us.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing. They want to hear our opinion. They want to know how they can help make this a better market for home buyers and sellers, which is just amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So, Patti, to end the show, being that you are an industry leader, in the real estate space, and you work with buyers and sellers, and you've got your son that's joined your team. Hi, Brian. So very, very exciting to see him coming into your practice. So a suggestion on what would somebody that's listening right now that's in the market thinking about purchasing a home, what would be a suggestion that you would be giving them?
Well, I would say you need to work with a realtor. You need to work with someone who has some great ideas about how to make your offer the very best, and also get an amazing mortgage person, because mortgage brokers are such a big part of that offer.
Yes.
My mortgage brokers, including Tina,
Thank you, Patty.
will call listing agents when I'm in a multiple offer situation to put their mind at ease that this buyer is really a good buyer, they're viable, they've been pre-approved, and that's so important. And as realtors, we have so many options available to us for help.
Yes.
We can go to many different websites and get the help that we need to try and make our offer the very best.
Yeah, and I always tell my buyers that the reputation from your real estate expert and the reputation for your mortgage expert can make or break that offer getting accepted. So working with somebody that has experience, and not just experience, but somebody that is actually connected within the Realtor community, like yourself, Patty, at such a high level, can only be a huge benefit in those multiple offers when that realtor definitely knows you and knows what you're doing for them and for homeownership. So what about my sellers? Sellers that are listening right now, what would be an advice that you would give on the other side of the transaction for a seller?
I would say the same thing. Get a realtor who will come into your house and say things to you like, once you decide to sell your house, it's not yours anymore. So you kind of need to listen to what I say about how to get your house, we call it parade ready.
Okay. You
don't want to, even though this market is moving very fast, the houses that are really getting bid up are the ones that are done. They have new paint. They're staged. They look really good. You walk in, the house feels good. It's a place where you want to live. So I would say listen to the advice of your realtor.
I always say the exact same thing is you hire a realtor for a reason. You need to just follow their lead and do exactly what they're coaching you to do, because they're doing this day in and day out. Patty, thank you so much for, again, coming in and spending the entire hour with me and with my listeners, more importantly, sharing all of the information that you have. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tina.
And this is your host, mortgage expert Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will be here same time, same place, right here at 1150 AM KKNW next Saturday.